Real quick, Destiny. I guess we'll shift this a little bit, right, from the January 6th stuff. And then I'll, obviously, after we have our discussion, we could turn it back to the Couch Club member. Shout out to all you guys, couchclub.tv. Obviously, the attempted assassination attempt has, created a whole bunch of news. It's been like, this has probably been one of the most turbulent weeks or 2 weeks that I've ever seen, like, in history, damn near. You got Joe Biden stepping down. You got the president almost was assassinated. You see Kamala Harris is more than likely going to be the Democratic Party's nominee. The DNC is coming up. You have just so much crap going on, right? The congressional hearings right now with the FBI. I know the FBI director went ahead and testified yesterday. I was reacting to it. And then before him was a state police from Pennsylvania. And then before him was Kimberly Cheadle, who resigned from the Secret Service director. Things have been going crazy. Obviously, you were going viral on Twitter for having some contrarian views. I'll say it. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
What are your views on what's your thoughts on everything, bro? How are you doing? How are you holding up? Obviously, I know some people had said some things about you that I'm not going to repeat here. We don't have to disagree on everything to still get along. But yeah, bro, what's your just thoughts on everything? There's been a bunch of crazy shit going on.
There's a bunch of crazy shit. It's the U.S. news cycle. Every couple days, something happens that resets like everything else. Like it feels like right now, like the assassination attempt is becoming like a distant view because of all the crazy shit that's happening recently. I don't think people even mentioned, and there's so much big news that people didn't even talk about. Like I know that Secret Service director stepped down today. We had the culmination of the Alec Baldwin case that I don't think anybody even paid attention to for like more than 5 minutes.
No,
that ended in a crazy fashion.
Yeah. Well, what ended up? Yeah, because I've been following the assassination closely. Like that's a good point because even myself, I didn't follow the Baldwin thing. It's I guess to his benefit, the assassination attempt happened, and then you had the RNC and stuff, and like that's just what plagued the news. Like no one gave a shit about the Baldwin trial. What ended up happening with him? Did he get acquitted or what happened?
I think it was a Brady violation from the prosecution. They had some they had some evidence that was turned over to them that they probably should have made available to the defense, and they didn't. And the defense wanted to question them about it, and the DA, the prosecutor, she decided to take the stand because she wanted to defend their conduct. And then after she did it, she got cross-examined, or no, it wouldn't be cross-examined. She just got questioned, and it was a disaster. Yeah.
Oh my God! And for those that are unaware, like if you got Brady violations in your investigation or your case, kiss your case goodbye, man. Whenever you don't comply with discovery, that creates like really big issues. I mean, you could get disbarred for that shit, guys.
Yeah. And then the case was ultimately dismissed with prejudice, so they can't bring it back. It's like done now. Yeah, it was pretty wacky. Yeah.
Holy shit! He got the OJ treatment pretty much.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Everybody walked away.
Yeah.
Holy crap. That's literally just like the OJ case, with Furman and everything else that happened where he was able to walk because, just sloppy handling of evidence. And in this case, you got sloppy prosecutorial, people. So that fucks it up. What about what are your thoughts on the assassination, bro? There's a lot of speculation that there was a second shooter involved. A lot of people don't believe as though Crooks acted alone. Obviously this, you look at JFK, Oswald, people don't believe that narrative either. What's your thoughts on that? Did you think,
I mean, I don't see any evidence that there was any broader conspiracy involved. I think that if anybody really was trying to do a conspiracy to get Trump, I don't think it would have been some 20-year-old retarded dipshit that's prone on a roof 100 yards away that misses those shots. But I mean, people will now where conservatives have put us in the media landscape, literally nothing will ever happen again that doesn't have a conspiracy behind it, whether that means space lasers causing fires in Hawaii or bioweapons labs in Ukraine or whatever the fuck else anywhere else. Like, yeah, every single thing is going to be something or a coup in the DNC or yeah.
Yeah. For me, looking at the evidence, to me, it looks right now, and of course my mind is open to be changed. But right now, it just strikes me as a single shooter. The FBI testified yesterday that right now it looks like a single shooter. And for those that are wondering, it's a cover-up, guys, trust me, with a case that has this type of media coverage, the FBI would love nothing more than to be able to say, we identified co-conspirators and we're going to go make an arrest. Like, that actually helps them. It doesn't benefit them to say it's a solo shooter. So, because at the end of the day, these federal law enforcement agencies do want status, they do want recognition, they do want praise, and most importantly, that leads to funding from Capitol Hill. So a lot of times they want to be able to say we did X, Y, Z, do the press release, and walk the perp, etc. So I think that in itself defeats a lot of these insider conspiracy theories, whatever. Am I skeptical about official narratives like Oswald, etc.? Do I believe the Warren Commission? Fuck no. I think that's bullshit too. But in this case, I just haven't seen like damning evidence yet that there was a second shooter. And for those that are saying, oh well, why did Crooks miss? He obviously knows how to use an AR-15. He had done some practice. Well, what people don't know, and this kind of came out during the testimony, was right before he shot, one of the police officers climbed the ledge to try to confront him, and Crooks saw him, pointed the gun at him. The guy said, "Oh shit," and he like fell off because someone hoisted him up. So he hoists him up, gives him a boost. Guys gets his head over the roof, sees Crooks. Crooks sees him. He points his rifle. The guy's like, "Oh shit!" He just literally drops off and hurts himself. And seconds after that, Crooks starts taking the shots at Trump. And mind you, there was people yelling, "He's on the roof. He's got a gun. He's got a gun." So you could only imagine the amount of adrenaline that this guy has, because he didn't anticipate that people would find him so quickly. So he whiffed a bunch of the shots.
Sure.
Which makes sense. But yeah, it's just wild that he was able to get in that position. He flew a drone. He had explosives in his vehicle, which I could see why people think that there was someone else, because it's like, how does this fucking 20-year-old that doesn't have knowledge on making bombs, presumably because they haven't found anything on his devices, do this alone? So that's kind of where I think, whenever there's questions that are being asked like this, people are always going to assume that there's more people. It flourishes, it allows the conspiracy theories to flourish.
Sure.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree, but like, everybody's going to conspiracy theory everything. Like, literally any piece of evidence could have been released and people would have just said the opposite. Like, if he had conversations with his friends saying like, I'm going to go and get, Donald Trump on my own, people would be saying, well, why didn't the friends say anything about it? Why didn't they turn him in? It's because they were in on it. This was a conspiracy. Or, if he would have, like, not said anything to anybody, but was talking about going somewhere else. Like, people will always insert, if you have a conspiracy in mind, you can take any collection of facts and make them fit anything. So if there's smoking gun evidence that comes out, then I would say like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe there's some crazy shit here, or even like anything that points in that direction, but there's not. So, I mean, why the fuck would I assume any otherwise, Yeah.
What do you think about Cheeto stepping down as director of Secret Service?
I don't know enough about the operational procedures or the management structure of the Secret Service. Like, it seems to me that it's so funny because, like, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but I've always thought, like, when I'm watching movies or when I'm looking at like the president making a speech, I'm like, damn, how do they secure like entire cities? Like, couldn't anybody from a fucking random window shoot at this president, dude? Like, that seems crazy. And has it
That's
maybe?
The reason why they don't do. They try not to do inner city like meetups in public.
Yeah, I've heard somebody say that, but I don't know if it was I don't know if that's real or if it was just like a Trump hater headline. But I think somebody had said that the Secret Service had been telling Trump like, hey, we can't do events outside. It's not good. And Trump was like, I like outside. It's fun. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, I guess it's kind of crazy. I mean, realistically, I don't.
Tell you that's true. Is that Trump doesn't like the nuance of people. Like, he doesn't like the image that people can't come up to him and like shake his hand.
Of course, yeah.
He wants to be able to interact with the people. So he tries to keep Secret Service fairly far away from him. That's why they weren't as quick to respond to him, because he purposely tells them, hey, like, he doesn't want to give the image that he's weak. So,
sure.
Which I understand. But yeah, continue on. Sorry, you're saying?
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I just I haven't dug into this that much because I haven't heard any crazy smoking gun things. But I guess like the weirdest thing to me is, I don't know, is it true if you've watched this? Is it true that the Secret Service like marksman had him like sighted for minutes before he actually shot?
That's what they're saying. We don't really know yet. When they brought Cheeto on, she didn't really give concrete answers to that. Mm-hmm. And some people didn't like that I said this, but I told people like, Cheeto isn't the person you want to bring on if you want to get questions answered, because the issue is, and I'll go through this very quickly, is that when you're going to subpoena people to come in and answer questions, the director is probably one of the worst people that you can bring in.
While that might be true, the one problem that I had, and I understand they're congressional hearings, so it's all for show and media or whatever, but like,
show
what? Yeah, but they asked her over and over again, like, who would be responsible? Now, maybe she doesn't want to throw anybody under the bus, but yeah. She was very evasive, right? Where she was saying like, oh, well, there's a lot of people in charge and there's multiple like layers to these operations. But like, unless the Secret Service literally operates differently than every single thing I've ever seen in my life, and I mean, you can tell me, you work for a federal body, like for any operation, for any given thing, there's always going to be ultimately one person who's accountable. Otherwise, how the fuck can anybody make any final decisions, or how, who do you talk to when things are fucked up? Like, there should be somebody that you can go to who ultimately signs off on things, even if it is just like a rubber stamping, like they don't actually go over it. There should be somebody at the end of the day who's responsible. And the fact that nobody was ever named, I think, but maybe she just didn't want to throw someone under the bus, or maybe people just weren't being diligent enough.
There's a multitude of reasons why. Like, she didn't want to throw people under the bus, etc. That's one thing, right? Which I will commend her for that. Mm-hmm. But the problem with the director, and I'll speak for your audience that might not be familiar with me, guys. I was a special agent with Homeland Security Investigations for 7 years, 3 years as an intern, so I'm very familiar with how Secret Service works. I've done Secret Service details before, etc. I know how the agency in and out. So with all that said, the director of any federal law enforcement agency typically is more of a politician than a law enforcement officer. These guys sometimes aren't even agents. They're like, like, for example, Ray, the director of the FBI, was an AUSA. He never carried a badge and a gun in his life or did an investigation, but he's director of the FBI. And it's a political position. You're going out politicking with people. You're the face of the agency. You're going around shaking hands, kissing babies, etc. A lot of the times you don't know what's going on the ground. Now, why do I say this? I say that because directors they're like 10 chains above the people on the ground that actually are going to have the intimate knowledge that these, hearings require. So the real person that they should have subpoenaed, they should have subpoenaed a few people. And I did a whole tweet about this, but I'll summarize it quickly. For the criminal investigation, you need to subpoena the FBI, and more accurately so, you need to subpoena the case agent from the FBI Pittsburgh office, because he's the one that's running the actual investigation and making the decisions and dealing with the AUSAs. And then you could go ahead and bring his special agent in charge. Those two individuals are going to answer every single question that you have on the criminal investigation, because they're the ones actually on the ground doing it. That's for the criminal investigation.
Sure.
Now,
although I will say real quick on that, though, people have a really hard time understanding this. It is possible, especially in law enforcement, that you can fuck up your job really like hardcore and be, completely fucked for and get fired or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean there was criminal wrongdoing, right? Like, it could be that somebody fucked up really bad. Now, if you fuck up really bad, if you can show like some type of, I don't know what the particular statute would be here, but some type of like gross negligence or something, then maybe you could get like up to a criminal charge. But it is possible. It's not inconceivable that somebody could have had the responsibility of clearing that roof, and for a variety of like reasons, they just didn't. They were lazy. They saw something fucked up, and that comes out to be proven. But it doesn't mean there's necessarily a criminal charge, because the person wasn't like criminally liable for what happened. Yeah,
of course. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as like figuring out what went down on that day with the particular Secret Service detail, Cheeto might have some answers as a director, but the real person you want to bring in, and I actually mentioned this to one of the congresswomen yesterday on the Twitter space, is that you want to bring in the head of Trump's Secret Service detail, who is probably going to be a GS 14 or 15. Typically, that's going to be a supervisor or second line supervisor. Why do I say that? Because for them to do that protection detail, they had to do something called an operation plan. And an operation plan in law enforcement is something that you have to put out every single time you're doing some form of enforcement action, whether it's a search warrant, an arrest warrant, anything that you're serving. And the reason why I say it is because the person that signed off on that operation plan is on the ground. That's one. Two, knows where people were supposed to be staged, call signs, radio equipment, who carried which guns, etc. And he will be able to specifically identify down to the name who was supposed to be at that building and where they're supposed to be located. So they asked a lot of really detailed questions that, Cheeto might not necessarily know because she's too high up, right? Now, Of course, people say to me, well, Myron, she could have went ahead and spoken with these people and got these answers. Yeah, that's true, but nothing is as good from getting it from the source, because anytime you answer a question, what comes next? They want a more specific answer on the follow-up, and she's not going to be able to provide that. So what they should have done was brought in the supervisors that were on the scene that day, because, I know the Secret Service blame the local cops, but at the end of the day, it's on Secret Service because they're the ones that use the local cops and other agencies to augment their security details.
Yeah, but while that's true, there's no shot that hearing would ever happen in a public forum where you're like talking about very specific details for how the Secret Service does like security procedures. That would always be closed hearing, right?
No, yeah, but at least they would be able to get the answers that they want. But again, I genuinely believe that bringing Cheeto in was just a dog and pony show and clip farming. Like, if you look, some of the people were super rude to her for no reason, saying she's bullshitting, blah, 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 all this, which I get it. There's outrage and you needed a whipping boy. But she's not going to have the answers. And then the other thing they asked her too, which I thought was very interesting, they asked her about a lot of internal matters as far as like people being fired, etc. Well, she's not going to be the right person to ask, because if you want to go ahead and get into that type of stuff, like what you were talking about before, gross negligence, all these things, well, some of these things are administrative violations, and then some of these things could potentially even rise to criminal. Well, the only two agencies that are going to do that, it's not going to be her. It's going to be something called the Office of Inspector General, DHS OIG, and then it's going to be Secret Service Office of Professional Responsibility. And I know people are saying, Myron, what the fuck is the difference between the two? Secret Service OPR is going to be handling the administrative stuff. They're going to make sure that the guy that shot the fucking dude was using the proper weapon. It's within Secret Secret Service guidelines. It's a service weapon. He was using the right ammunition. In admin shit. Then OIG is going to investigate anything that's potentially criminal, that whether someone lied on a form or anything else like that. So those guys are going to be the ones that are going to be privy to anyone being fired, because they're going to have to do their own independent investigation, which Cheeto doesn't have access to, by the way, guys, for a multitude of reasons, right? Because it would fuck up with it would be a conflict of interest if she had access to that. There are outside investigative agency that investigates them, so she wouldn't even have access to or have the answers for those internal questions that Congress is asking. So and then also another thing I noticed when they were asking questions of the FBI director, they asked a lot of questions that like weren't even pertinent to the assassination, and a lot of it was like to push their own agenda. Oh, we need to ban AR assault rifles and all this other shit. Bro, you got this fucking guy here. Ask him the question about the case. Why are you talking about gun laws and shit like that? That doesn't have to do with the topic at hand. So a lot of these people are, trying to get reelected and do a dog and pony show, which obviously I get what it is, but it's like, bro, the American people deserve better. Like, ask real pertinent questions to the actual assassination, which is why this guy's fucking here. Same thing with Cheeto.
Sure.
They're asking about FBI, DEI, and all this other stuff that's like non-relevant, which I thought was ridiculous. I don't know if you had seen any of the hearings.
I watched a little bit of them asking her questions about like who was ultimately responsible for the plan, but that was it. Yeah, the open congressional hearings are kind of boring to me. Usually, like you said, it's just people are literally farming for TikTok clips. Like that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like AOC and all these people, Mace, like they were just looking to, with Cheeto especially, bro. Like they were just trying to cook her. You need to resign and all this other shit, and there were like 200,000 people watching. You can see it in the YouTube chat. People like woo, like cheering it on and shit. Mm-hmm. So, it's human nature to want to watch things crash in slow motion, right? So that's what it is. So how you been dealing with the backlash, bro? How you holding up? Obviously, people been fucking getting mad at you on Twitter and shit like that. So,
it's all good. I usually piss people off on the internet. It was Muslims a month ago. Before that, it was, I don't even know who it was before that. Yeah, always fighting everybody. Yeah, fuck it.
When you get back on kick, man?
I got abandoned like 4 or 5 days, I think. I've been there for. Yeah.
Bro, one thing I've noticed about them, dude, is like they say they ban someone, but it never sticks ever.
They've banned, I think, aren't Zerka and Heel Mike gone forever?
I don't know. Are they back? Well, I don't know. Maybe someone could double check, but like, dude, it's like every other week they're banning like Neon or Jack Doherty or one of these guys, then they're back like within a few days.
Sure. I mean, Twitch does it too with streamers who get banned like 20 times for sexual outfits and shit. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm happy Twitch let, I know you and Sneeko don't get along, but like they let Sneeko back on, which I was stoked for. Like I didn't realize that you can come back on Twitch even after you've been banned. Like, do they have some kind of policy or something like that?
Do they have what'd you say, a policy?
Yeah, do they have like a policy where like after a certain amount of time you can come back?
Well, I mean, you're technically never permanently banned. It's only indefinitely, so you can apply for an appeal every 6 months, and then that's it. But yeah, I mean, they've rejected 4 of mine, so who knows? Maybe someday we'll see.
It happens, man. What's your thoughts on the whole Mr. Beast and his what was this guy's friend or something? Assistant? I don't even
Ava,
know.
I don't give a fuck. People obsess so much over like the inappropriate jokes and shit online.
And they only leaked it once Dr. Disrespect started to be critical of a certain agenda.
I don't know about that, but also keep in mind, Twitch didn't leak it. It was just some ex-employee from Twitch. I think, wasn't it Cody Connors or something?
Yeah, but the point is that it had been there for years and it didn't get leaked until he started criticizing a certain agenda, which I thought was, impeccable timing.
I don't know if that's true or not, but what was
because like no one had known about this until, I mean, you could say it's a coincidence, but the fact is that he made these comments and then 2-3 days later, next thing you know, people are saying that he had texted a minor on Twitch. And Twitch knew about this because remember that he got kicked off Twitch for a bit and then they settled out of court or whatever and he came back. And it was because of this matter.
But he never came back to Twitch, right?
No, I think he did.
No, definitely not.
He did.
Nope, absolutely not. When he got banned last time over, trust me. When he got banned, was this 4 years ago or I don't remember how many years ago? But when he got banned, no, he was gone.
I don't know. Someone in the chat confirmed for us or whatever. But I know there was some kind of settlement out of court.
Well, my guess is going to be that there was some type of arbitration done for his contract, because my guess is going to be that if he got a huge deal to operate on Twitch, there was probably like a huge lump sum of cash involved, and there were probably like some terms like probably 12 or 24 months, and they were obviously terminating that contract early. And I'm sure that there were clauses for like a moral clause to terminate early for whatever reason. But then I'm sure that they've got arbitration clauses in there for like, well, if you want to disagree on some things. Dr. District probably had a lot of money coming to him, and he wanted to fight over it. And he probably had a little bit of leverage because Twitch probably doesn't want it going public. That big streamers they've signed have been inappropriate with minors and DMs. So they went their settlement. I doubt it was like some legal, like it wasn't like some criminal court thing. They were just like probably settling the terms of his contract before he left the platform.
Yeah. No, I mean, because I do know that he went to YouTube after. He might have got a deal with. Does YouTube do deals with people like that?
YouTube was doing deals at the time, but I'm pretty sure the execs were communicating with each other, and nobody cut deals with Dr. Disrespect, because Dr. Disrespect was salty because at the time YouTube was cutting deals with people, and they explicitly did not cut a deal with him.
Yeah, I don't even think they cut deals with people anymore, though. It's like
no, they don't. No, they haven't for I don't think a couple of years. I don't think.
Yeah, it's been a bit like that's not something that I think they do anymore, because they're like, we're just gonna make money on ads anyway, so that's kind of what it is. What else to do with you, bro? It's been a while since we've spoken.
Nothing much. I've just been reading and.
How's Israel?
It was a fun, good time. Yeah, but I've just been reading and studying and all this fucking boring shit, and then having boring debates about law. And
you prepared for another debate?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be all this insurrection shit, basically. That's gonna be my big focus for the next.
Another one? You're gonna do another one with somebody else instead of Andrew?
Well, yeah, yeah, that's why I agreed to do it with Andrew. My big focus for the next few months is I think Donald Trump easily tried to coup the government. I think that the evidence is like overwhelming. It's like not even up for debate. So my goal is to just have those conversations basically for the next couple months. You know.
Anybody in particular going to debate?
Whoever, we'll see who bites basically. Yeah, I'm still working on like my documents. I'm making 2 big documents for it. One huge comprehensive one, and then a second one for like a quick like 15-minute debate, and then I'll go from there and see who wants to argue over it. Yeah.
So real quick, because and I'm playing devil's advocate here, right?
Sure.
This is not one like my particular wheelhouse with January 6th, though a lot of people feel very strongly about this. One of the big things that people use, and I think Andrew had mentioned this during the debate, was Trump had put out a tweet saying, hey, we need to peacefully protest, etc. And that tweet was deleted. This is a talking point that a lot of people use. Can you tell me what your rebuttal would be to that presumptive argument, and what's your
Sure. Yeah. So
go ahead. Yeah.
Without diving into the details of everything, basically there was a pretty long-term plot from right before the election to after, right to up to January 6th, where Donald Trump was trying to find a way to hold on to power. So after they lost the election, he knew prior to the election that the votes were probably going to turn over at night. So he tried to end the election like the night of. That's why he said stop the count. That's why he was saying we've won. That's why Pence came on afterwards and said we're going to wait till all the votes are counted against Donald Trump. He was upset about that.
Stop the count, what, like a day before, you saying?
Donald Trump didn't want the mail-in ballots to be counted because he knew that those were heavily going to skew democratically. Everybody knew this, and his own people were telling him this. So he tried to he wanted the vote to stop immediately. And other people have come out, like Bannon and I think even Barr, other people come out saying that, like, yeah, everybody was telling him this and he knew it was going to happen. That's why he's trying to get the vote stopped. So after that, for about a month, they were kind of trying to explore options. They tried to challenge a lot of the votes in a whole bunch of different states using largely bullshit evidence.
Right?
What?
If I'm not mistaken, Georgia is the big one, which is why he got the RICO charge, right?
There are RICO charges in Georgia, and Georgia was a lot of the big ones. Georgia was probably some of the worst, the most egregious offenses. It was him calling Raffensperger, which was wholly inappropriate. It was him calling the election investigator, which was wholly inappropriate. And then it was him and his campaign making the same false claims over and over and over again about voter fraud against Ruby Freeman, saying that she counted the votes 3 times and that they brought in like this mysterious ballot box, filled with a whole bunch of ballots, that they started the count again after night, that all of these things, judges have gone over them on videos. You can watch the videos, the full videos. None of it is true. Not only is none of it true, everybody inside Trump's administration told him it wasn't true. And Giuliani just recently had a $148 million claim against him that was settled in court, or I'm sorry, that he lost in court. And his defense was, I knowingly lied about her, but my First Amendment right should protect me in telling a lie about her. So all of those claims were false and bullshit.
Lie about this voter counter woman, right?
Yep, Ruby Freeman, yes.
Ruby Freeman, okay.
Yep. Every single one of those claims is a lie. Moving forward, there was a guy called Kenneth Chesbrough, and then through Eastman, they basically concocted this legal theory that was going to make it so that if they could have basically Pence act against the Electoral Count Act, which is supposed to say how the vice president counts the votes on January 6th, that they can use Pence to unilaterally throw the vote out or count the wrong votes or just give it to the House delegation by doing stuff that they were going to claim was like constitutionally possible, but was against
He refused, right? Which is what he refused to do that, which is why Trump was very angry at him.
Correct. He did refuse. Yeah. And in the course of setting this up,
on what grounds he didn't want to? Why did he not want to do it? Like, what was his specific? Like, I know there's probably
he had all of his legal team look at it, and it was wholly, wildly illegal and unconstitutional. There's no way that he had the authority to do what Trump was asking him and what Eastman was demanding that he could do.
So his legal team told him no.
Yes, and all the legal team told him. The only people that were on board with this were the crazy lawyers that Trump had brought in. So Powell, Eastman, and Giuliani, and then one other crazy.
Indicted in the RICO, Georgia RICO state case.
They might be, yeah.
Giuliani was indicted in it, which is ironic because he was one of the
founders,
people that actually implemented the RICO in the 80s. Okay, well, let me set. What other points did you have before? Because I'd give you.
Sure. Yeah, a couple big ones were. Another one is a lot of people don't know this, but in the United States, citizens don't have a right to vote for president. The states vote for president. So when you go to do a vote at the ballot box, what you're actually voting for are electors. And when you vote for a particular candidate, you're voting for the electors that will on December 14th get together and actually certify their vote and transmit it to Congress for the counting on January 6th. What Trump did was he got his team to run to all 7 states of the quote unquote contested, the battleground states, and have the Republican legislatures, not the legislatures, the Republican electors send in fake slates saying that, hey, well, here, we're just saying, by the way, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, we did vote for Donald Trump. Here's our electoral votes. He had them send all of those votes to Congress and to NARA, and the goal was on January 6th to try to pressure Mike Pence to accept those votes instead of the actual votes in order to make Trump president.
Interesting. Okay. No, that's a lot of points there. Let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
Given the compromising situation, and just so you guys know, Council Club members that are in the Zoom, I'll come to you guys. I'm just, obviously opening up a dialogue here, and then we can definitely turn it back and bring you guys involved.
Yeah. Also, just as a really quick thing, every single thing that I just said is super publicly verifiable. None of this is contested by anybody. Nobody denies any of this. Everything that I just said is super open public record stuff. Nothing here is by subpoena, super criminal investigation. All of this is very open with tons of people, mainly Republicans, that will attest to everything that I just said having happened. But yeah, okay, sorry, go ahead.
All right. What I was going to say was, how do you think how do I say this? The information that recently came out on Fani Willis and, having an improper relationship with one of her attorneys, how do you think that's going to affect the prosecution?
Was this in Georgia?
Yeah. She's the one that literally was the main crusader in this whole RICO case, going after Trump and after going after Young Thug as well. She basically used the same RICO statutes on Trump that she did for Young Thug.
I don't know enough about, I haven't dug into the relationships there to have a strong opinion on it, so I have no idea. If there's improper relationships, it's not good, and they should either recuse themselves or get fired or whatever the fuck, but I haven't dug into any of that.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of bullshit. For example, the judge on Young Thug's case actually had to recuse himself because he had a ex parte meeting that he wasn't supposed to have without the defense present, and it caused a lot of issues.
Sure.
Okay. Let me get your take on this then, and then we'll go to the people. And just so you guys know, we'll stay on YouTube. We're live on all the platforms. Obviously, we got a Zoom link out on Council Club, so you guys can go ahead and join in the conversation.
Sure. Also, as a quick, I've got to take off in 5 or 10 minutes, but I can stay for a little longer. Go ahead.
What's your thoughts on dismissing the National Defense Information case? This case.
I think it's a tragedy for a variety of reasons, but. I think that Thomas's opinion. So, is it?
Because I will say this before you go into your thing. I think that's the strongest case that the government had against him, by far.
Yeah, but so what happened was during the immunity case, which I think the Supreme Court gave a wild ruling there. But in the immunity case, Clarence Thomas wrote a concurring opinion where he just decided to opine on whether or not the special prosecutor was constitutional. And he just decided to write a bunch of shit saying, I actually don't think it's constitutional. And then Judge Cannon. She cited him a lot in her decision to say, "Oh yeah, well actually, I'm going to toss this case because I don't think the special prosecutor was ever constitutionally established." So that was their way of escaping the Mar-a-Lago case. Yeah. They went after Jack Smith, saying that. Which I
That's definitely going to hit I think it's going to go up the appellate courts into the Supreme Court for sure. But I mean, since like you just mentioned, Clarence Thomas was the one that kind of like started this wheel train. I don't think that the Supreme Court will overturn her ruling down here in Florida.
I don't. I mean, it's going to depend on, unless they have to rule on the constitutionality of the choosing of particular special counsels. But I don't know if that's going to be a majority opinion in the court or not.
Yeah, only time will tell. I mean, I will say that it was. I was surprised, and it came literally like a day or two after he almost got assassinated.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that was if you had a axe to grind against Trump. I like Trump, so I know me and you disagree on that. But I do think, as a Trump supporter, that was the strongest case against him, because when it comes to national defense information, I know a lot of people always say, oh, well, he could declassify the documents. He could declassify the documents. The thing is that when it comes to the Espionage Act, the 18 U.S.C. 793, it doesn't have to be classified for it to still be a violation. It can just be national defense information.
That's true. And a lot of the charges that he was catching were for obstruction as well, but not just retention of,
Yeah, because there was allegations that he told his assistant to move the boxes around. He had told a guy to delete security footage allegedly in the indictment, because I think they came back with a superseding indictment, if I'm not mistaken, and they added the other guy besides Nashville. So it's but yeah, that was, I think, the strongest case, and I think with them getting rid of that classified documents case, that effectively pretty much is destroying the Washington, D.C. case, because Jack Smith is prosecuting both, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I don't think people agree with Canada's decision to toss that case. I think I've seen people say it's more likely that she's just going to get removed from it. But I mean, like, it's effectively stalled out until past the election, which is the only thing that matters anyway. So
Exactly. And that's another thing I was saying as well. And this was actually one of the things I said when this first came out. As I said, Trump needs to hold on, get in the office, and pardon himself on the federal cases. As far as his cases go.
Well, now he might not have to after the immunity ruling. He might escape every case via that ruling. It's possible. We're going to see how that plays out.
That's true too. Do you think presidents should have immunity to be able to effectively conduct?
Absolutely fucking insane. No, I think that was one of the craziest rulings I've ever read in my entire life.
Well, would you not say that? Because let's be honest here. We all know that, the president and super high-ranking officials do fucked up shit all the time. I mean, for example, like if I'm not mistaken, Obama ordered a drone strike that killed a U.S. citizen, right? And he was never
but there's a difference here, right? You were fed, the legal process, right? So when Obama goes to the Office of Legal Counsel to solicit an opinion to see if he thinks that he has the legal authority to do a particular thing, and when Obama didn't say, when I do this decision, no court can review what I do, I think that is meaningfully different than when a president embarks in a what is really a private capacity to further entrench his own power in acts that we would clearly say are criminal acts. I think that regardless of whether you like Obama or not, you would agree with this. Let's say that it came out that Obama's wife had cheated on him with this guy and he drone strike the dude. I think everybody in the U.S. would be like, bro, what the fuck? That would be nobody would be saying, well, hold on. I mean, it is in his power to drone strike people, right? People are like, no, what the fuck? You can't do that, right? Whether or not you think that the president should have the ability to do that, he was probably operating as the commander-in-chief of the United States with ownership of these. Yeah. So I think it's a lot different than a lot of the conduct for Trump. Nobody is saying that I think that Trump was legitimately acting as the interest, of the president of the United States when he was telling his attorney generals, I need you to send out fake letters to all the states saying we found voter fraud, which is what that immunity protected him from, one of the actions that Roberts declared. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
because basically for the immunity clause, all they need to display is that the president was acting under some official capacity, right? And he'll be immune, which you can make the argument, right? And I know this would be a debatable thing and you might not agree with it, but you could make the argument by him calling and saying, we need to fucking figure out if this is legitimate election, get where these votes come from, etc. You could make the argument that was him acting in an official capacity because he's trying to ensure that election integrity.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's not a good argument, but every court will now have to. Yes, because now the defense is immediately going to be, well, we're presumptively immune. It's the power of the president. You need to argue why intruding on this. Not only do you have to make whatever argument that there's a crime here, you have to show that intruding on this won't have a negative impact on my acts in the future. That this intrusion isn't going to inhibit my ability to operate as the executive going forward, which is,
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll hit some of these Castle Club people quick. I know you're short on time.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, all right. So let's get as many people through as we can. Guys, hit us with a quick question or a comment, and then I'll move on and get as many of you guys through. Shout out to all you guys on Castle Club. Go ahead. We got Adrian. Go ahead, Adrian.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Got you, man. Go ahead. Hit us with
Yeah, what's up, guys? Just wanted to say one quick thing here. Destiny.
What's up?
No matter what happened, I mean, let's go back to January 6th, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
When you have people being let in by the Capitol Police, okay, there's video footage of this, there's cameras. We know there were bad agents in there. We don't even know who Ray Epps is. I mean, we have to take a step back and forget about your definition, Andrew's definition of insurrection. These people were let in. Trump called for a peaceful protest. Sure, it was deleted, whatever. Trump called everyone to go back to their homes. They said to leave the Capitol. Nancy Pelosi also said that the Capitol Police should stay down, even when Trump called for the Capitol Police to come in. Okay, and also, I mean, this is just ridiculous. I mean, it was not an insurrection. These people were let in, and the only person that died was the woman who was shot by the cop. There was no investigation on the cop, and I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I don't think it was an insurrection at all.
Yeah, every single fact you brought up, I think was incorrect. So when you say that we know there were bad agents, there's no proof of that at all. When you talk about people being led around, the first people that got into the building broke into the building. For people that were being led around, it was because you had like tens of thousands of protesters and then people that were starting to pour into the building, and you had like, what was it, like fucking 100 cops or whatever?
No, hold on.
Like you
there
can
was
see
cops letting them inside the building.
The only people that were let, if you want, I understand. If you want to come on my stream, we can rewatch every single video if you want. You will lose this argument, okay? Guaranteed. The first people that got in broke into the building. There were people that were kind of like led around and guided into like some fucking Senate chambers and bullshit afterwards.
Because the guy with the bullhorn.
But that's because the cops didn't have the manpower to deal with everybody. So they were just kind of like shepherding people around to places where there weren't congressmen, where there weren't lawmakers that were trying to retreat. So the first people in the building indisputably broke in. We know that. And when cops were leading people around, you can literally watch one of the videos where I think it's the black cop is going up the stairs and he looks to the left, and I think there are literally lawmakers down the hall, and he kind of like pushes a guy and goes to the right. It's because they're leading people through, which is common even in like when it comes to riots and stuff. Police will lead people down streets or down corridors to crowd them into certain areas. They just didn't have the manpower to deal with that event. When you say we know that Ray Epps was there, we know that the day before Ray Epps shouted stupid stuff, and that's on camera for sure. But there's a lot of people.
Yeah, we call him a fed also.
That's fine. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. There were a lot of people that were calling out for going into the Capitol and everything. Again, all the video footage is available on Rumble. You can see the day of. There are people like Nick Fuentes who very suspiciously didn't catch any public charges, really makes you wonder, who were shouting like, let's go in, whatever. You can see him on video, everybody shouting it. The day of, you do not see Ray Epps anywhere calling for violence. Every video that I've seen of Ray Epps on the day of January 6th is usually him telling people to be chill or calm down. There's only one video that shows somebody breaking down a fence, and you see Ray Epps saying, Nope. Whatever you were about to say is not true. Ray Epps is not heard saying anything. You can go find the video you want to rewatch it. I'm not interested. Hold on, wait. Wait. I'm going through all your points. You said a bunch of points. Let me respond to them, okay? I've watched all these videos on stream before in extensive detail. I read the Revolver article. I talked to the author of the article because he was in that debate with me, with Greenwald and Alex Jones, okay? You cannot hear Epps say anything about go and attack or go do anything. You hear him whisper into a guy's ear, and then eventually somebody else comes forward and pushes over the fence, and people say he was telling them to attack, but there's no evidence of that. And all the video footage you see on January 6th is him telling people, chill out, calm down, okay? You mentioned that Trump called for a peaceful protest with a deleted tweet. I don't know where this is. I haven't seen this before. I don't know where this deleted tweet is.
I could try to pull it up for you.
Yeah, if you can find it, that's great. However, while the riot was raging on, okay, while the insurrection was raging on, there were multiple people that ran to the Oval Office begging Trump, Trump Jr., Ivanka, I think even Meadows, I think Cipollone, like so many people went and they're like, you have to stop this riot. You have to stop this insurrection. You have to stop this violence. Please tweet. Please do something. He didn't do anything.
Which is what he did.
No, he didn't. He waited.
Which is what he did, yeah. And Nancy Pelosi called back.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Why didn't he do it immediately when he was asked? Why did he wait 3 hours? There is no answer to that question. It was 3 hours. No.
It's not have the Capitol Police there.
Hold on. We're not even at. Hold on. We're not at that part yet. The ultimate authority to deploy the National Guard there, the chain of command goes all the way up to Donald Trump because this is federal property. Okay. So Donald Trump sat and he watched on TV for at least 3 hours while that protest turned into a riot, turned into an insurrection. And the only thing that him and Giuliani did was he made calls to lawmakers, many of which are reported. McCarthy, other Republicans will tell you, he made calls to lawmakers telling, hey, maybe you should delay the certification of the vote. It wasn't until 3 hours after the violence started that he finally made the tweet. once it was winding down, saying like, okay, hey guys, I think it's time to go home. So that tweet that he did where he called people to go home, this is after hours of begging by so many different people in his White House counsel and his family were begging him to tweet. It took hours for him to do that. And then at the very end, when you said Pelosi said the Capitol Police should stay down, I think Pelosi and Mayor Bowser, I think they fucked up when they didn't ask for more Capitol Police to be there. However, Donald Trump never there were some, there just weren't very many, and most of them were doing traffic control. The reason why they weren't there is because people were worried that Donald Trump would try to use the National Guard or military to do some weird shit, and they were really worried about that. And I think in the end, obviously that ended up not being the greatest decision, but when Donald Trump asked for 10,000 National Guardsmen to be there, that wasn't an official request put in. It was a random conversation he was having with, I think it was with Milley. He said, maybe we need 10,000 guards there to protect my people. That's all he said. There was no official request that was put in and ignored. He just kind of like floated it as a suggestion in a private conversation, and that's it. That's all the points. Yeah.
Okay, you just said like 10,000 things in like times 2 speed, but let's just go over this 1 second. They had a committee, a January 6th committee, who just reviewed everything you just said.
On, Adrian, we do have a lot of people waiting, bro. Adrian, we do have a lot of people waiting.
All right.
You know what I mean?
That's fine. Go ahead. Take Harrison next. Harrison's been waiting.
All right, Harrison, go ahead. And I do have the tweet here, Destiny. I'll pull it up on screen and show you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Harrison. I don't know if you can see that there. It says, Donald J. Trump, I'm asking everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you.
What time? When? Do you know what time that tweet was?
That is a good question. Let me see if I get a timestamp.
At 3:13. Yeah, wait. So it had already turned into a violent. It was already like rioting at that point. This is the one that he put in when people were begging him to tweet at people to go home. They were like, please tell your people to go home. And he ends up putting that tweet out that basically just encourages them to stay there.
Was it at 3:13 p.m.? Okay. Okay, so who's up next? Is it Harrison? Okay, Harrison, go ahead, bro. And let's speed through these so I can get as many people as possible. So I know Destiny's on some tight timeline here. So
hey, good evening, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, bro. Guys, hit us with your question and or comment.
Hey, so I was kind of curious for Destiny. I had watched your interview with Pierce Morgan the other day, and you had said that you did not want to disavow the shooting of Trump. Are you willing to talk about that tonight? Because I think that was a really low thing to do, considering who he is, what he's done for the country, and you're kind of just a small little person.
It's a whole thing to get into, but just basically, conservatives don't take responsibility for literally any of the violent rhetoric or actions they've engaged in the United States. So the idea that they would ask for sympathy when something happens, I think, is a little bit ridiculous. When you look at the rhetoric around January 6th, when you look at the rhetoric around Paul Pelosi, when you look at the rhetoric around literally anything else, conservatives seem to be gleefully shouting and making jokes about and making fun of and calling conspiracy on everything. So yeah, I don't think anybody owes them any kind of sympathy or anything if a bad event is happening to their to their side. I mean, it's not good. You shouldn't want like violence or assassination attempts or anything in the United States. Nobody should celebrate that. It's not a good thing. We shouldn't want that. But I mean, like the conservative rhetoric is literally taking us there, has taken us there. The shooter was a Republican. I mean, what do you want me to say?
Well, you know, but also at the same time, you had Kamala Harris during the whole Black Lives Matter riots, encouraging more riots, encouraging more violence. So in my eyes, I don't know how you would be able to even comprehend that Trump is actually inciting more violence when you have the left literally going on TV and advertising to go ahead and be disruptive to Republicans. Go ahead and
what is that when we say Kamala Harris was encouraging rioting? What are we citing to there, or what statements?
So that was during the Black Lives Matter during COVID.
Mm-hmm. I'm aware of Black Lives Matter and the protest during COVID. Yeah.
Correct. And so, you know,
but I'm asking, what did she say? What were her statements where she was like inciting? Was she saying like, you guys need to go and blow up courthouses, or you guys need to go and
she was encouraging the supposed quote unquote peaceful protests, which in turn anybody with half a brain could see that those were not peaceful. And all you people do is you change the definitions of things in order to make the garbage that in all reality is evil to sound less evil, so that way you can feel good about it and actually incite it even more. The whole idea behind protesting is to do it peacefully. To change it and say that, oh, well, it's peaceful protests when, oh, they're mostly peaceful protests, but in the end they are violent.
Well, wait, if Kamala Harris saying that, like, well, listen, you guys need to be peaceful at least, if her saying that still counts as her ordering violence, I guess, why wouldn't you say for the same for Donald Trump when he tweeted out, you guys need to remain at the Capitol and be peaceful, when the people had already started rioting there and all they continued to do was riot, and then Ashley Babbitt died?
But the thing is that he never did say to continue the riots. Kamala Harris incited it and actually encouraged it.
Encouraged rioting?
Yes.
Didn't she condemn violent protests?
No, she didn't.
Anywhere.
During the whole, and I'm just referring to 2020 during the COVID Black Lives Matter after
So here's a question. So I'm seeing a quote from Kamala here saying, "It's no wonder people are taken to the streets, and I support them. We must always defend peaceful protests and peaceful protesters. We should not confuse them with those looting and committing acts of violence, including the shooter who was arrested for murder. And make no mistake, we will not let these vigilantes and extremists derail the path to justice." Can you find a single quote of Donald Trump criticizing any behavior ever on January 6th?
Well, I'm obviously not equipped to go and research that because I've been listening to you guys for the past couple hours.
Okay.
But
well, I'm just demonstrating this was a statement of her supporting peaceful protests and condemning violent protests. But
I'll move on to the next just so I can get as many people through. But
hey, thank you guys
for chiming in. Absolutely. Real quick, Destiny, are you going to the DNC?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, obviously, I know you're not going to vote Trump. What are your thoughts on Kamala taking the helm and more than likely being the Democratic nominee?
We'll see how it works in a couple weeks. So far, it's gone better than I expected it to. But I think that conservatives are having an issue, not to sound like a woke tard or whatever, and conservatives don't have to listen to me, but I think that conservatives are making a huge strategic error right now and being like so fucking unhinged in their racism and sexism against Kamala. I think that they need to stick to way different kinds of attacks, and they're going like mega unhinged right now, and it's probably going to hurt them if they continue it. But so in that way, I guess Kamala was a good choice on my end, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Are you going to vote in November?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, I would peg you more like
careful
libertarian, left leaning. Well, I mean, would you agree with that assessment?
Maybe it really depends on what particular thing we're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, because to me, you strike me as like more libertarian, but like on the left side. Whereas like for me, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm libertarian, but more far, people call me far right, whatever the fuck. But
sure.
Yeah. But okay. So you are obviously you're gonna vote Kamala, I'm assuming.
Or whoever the Dems put on the ticket. Hell yeah.
Whoever the Dems pick up on the ticket. Fair enough. Okay. Who do we got here? We got Lewis. Go ahead, Fernando. Lewis.
Yeah, Myron, I wanted to ask, what do you think about like Israel and Netanyahu having significant influence over the U.S. and like why are all the presidential candidates Zionists? Like, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I will say this. I reacted to his speech yesterday, and they stood up 81 times and gave him a standing ovation. So after every sentence, they gave him an ovation. So that should tell you everything that you need to know there. What are your thoughts, Destiny? Did you watch this?
I didn't, but I take it to be hugely unpopular here. Old people like Israel because Israel's like the democracy in the Middle East, and they saw Israel as like this underdog getting bullied by all these Arab countries. That's why old people in the U.S. love Israel. That's not going to change ever until they all get old and die.
Love them.
What?
No, the boomers absolutely support Israel.
Yeah, yes. Israel sucks at propaganda. Jews suck at propaganda. They suck at controlling the media. I think that's been demonstrated like with extreme efficacy in the past like 7 or 8 years. They cannot control any media narrative to save their life. Nobody will believe me on that now, but that's fine. But I think that the people to look out for are, I would say, it's Qatar, Iran, China, and Russia. I think for like controlling media narratives. I think those are the huge things that we have to look at going forward. But we'll see.
And Lewis, to answer your question, bro, I genuinely don't believe that you can ever, well, maybe in the future one day, but nowadays you can't be a politician in the United States of any real consequence unless you, support AIPAC. That's just the reality nowadays. So maybe things will change later, but for now, that's just one of the realities of being any type of politician in the United States with real influence. Jacob, we got you next. And we could definitely have a discussion on that, Destiny, which I won't even get into like with the news and stuff because we're on YouTube and obviously it's a very long conversation. I know we're short for time here, but that could be another day. Jacob, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's up? I just had a quick question. I didn't get to catch the whole stream, but this is mainly for Destiny.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the boiling water shooting incident?
The blooming water shooting incident? No, I didn't. What is that?
Boiling.
Oh, yeah, I watched the video on that, yeah.
Okay, I was just wanted to see or hear. Do you think it's justified or unjust of the police officer doing that?
Okay, this is what I'll say. Okay, fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, Myron will support me here. Okay, keep me sane. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you find people that are exceptionally talented or you find people that are in incredibly dangerous situations, the Hollywood portrayal of this is that like a really good athlete, a really smart thinker, a really good cop is somebody that has like cat-like reflexes, the aim of like James Bond, the mind of Einstein, right? That this is what it means to be like an effective law enforcement officer, Secret Service person, whatever the fuck. The reality is the people that are the most successful in life, this applies to every area of life too, okay? It's not the people that are able to make these like lightning fast decisions and figure out what they need to do on the fly. It's people that prepare themselves and put themselves in situations and environments where they can succeed. All right. When a police officer is dealing with I don't even want to say a suspect, but really with anybody that they're not fully comfortable with, there are reasons why cops say, hey, let me see your hands. Or if they're doing even a small detainment investigation, they'll say like, can you come and sit over here on the sidewalk? Can you just like keep your hands on your knees? If they want, maybe they'll zip tie, maybe they'll handcuff you, like just so I can see what's going on. The reason why you do that is because you never want to be in a situation where an old lady has a boiling fucking pot of water that you send into the kitchen and is about to fucking throw it at you, and you're like, well, fuck, right? At the time that the lady goes to throw the boiling pot of water, am I very critical of the cop shooting her? Not. I mean, she's close enough to do some fucking damage if she gets a whole boiling pot of water. I'm like, I'm not, like, at that point, I kind of get it, but there's no way that it should have gotten to that point. I have no fucking idea why law enforcement would allow a lady who seems fucking insane, and she has seemed insane up to that point. Why would they let her walk to the kitchen unaccompanied to turn off a boiling pot of water on a stove when they have no fucking idea what's going on? I think that the officers just fucked the handling of that situation up, and they put themselves in a situation where they had to make an impossible call on like shooting a lady who's got a huge pot of boiling water that she's trying to throw at this cop. And it was just, I think it was fucked in that way. So when people analyze the shooting, usually when cops make mistakes, it's not because they made the wrong split-second decision. It's usually because they weren't being careful in advance to make sure that they had the people that they needed sitting on the sidewalk, their hands cuffed in advance to control the situation, essentially. That was my feeling on it, yeah. And then Myron can agree or disagree with the general specific, yeah.
I agree with some of it. I think it's a clean shoot, contrary to popular belief. I think it's a 100% clean shoot, and I'll tell you why. And I can tell you guys this from being former law enforcement, understanding use of force and using lethal force. You are not judged on 20/20 hindsight. You're judged on the facts that were visible to you when you decided to pull that trigger. So this is why, this happens all the time. A police officer will shoot someone that what they thought was a gun but it ends up being a toy gun. Why? Because they had no knowledge that it was a toy gun until after the person was shot. But they were operating. We don't judge them on 20/20 hindsight, right? What were the facts available to them when they showed up on the scene? In this case, it's important to note that they go to the house and the woman has this boiling water, and she takes the boiling water and she doesn't follow lawful commands. They're telling her, hey, stop. Don't grab that water. Don't throw it on us, blah, blah, blah. I'll shoot you. And she still continues to disobey the lawful orders. Then she ducks down and the officers can't see her. Now, you're in their house. You don't know what she has in one of these cupboards. You don't know if she has a weapon there, etc. So they go ahead and proceed forward to make sure they can see her hands. In law enforcement, they always teach you need to see the hands at all times. He couldn't see her hands. When he sees her, she's coming back up like this, and she's about to hurl the water on him. And on top of that, she says, Jesus rebukes you. Well, I don't know about you guys, but anytime someone says something like Jesus rebukes you, something's about to come your fucking way that you're probably not going to like.
Sure,
so,
but the issue I think with the cops handling that is if you watch the video, this lady is wacky. Like when I first saw it, I was thinking either mental health or drugs. Like what didn't sound right. And the cops, even prior to her going to the kitchen, like the thing that made me scary, and I've seen so many cop execution videos of cops getting killed. The thing I always get scared of is like, oh fuck, this person's reaching into a bag and the cop's not paying attention. Somebody's about to die, right? Yeah. The fact that like they're just in the apartment chatting and she's like reaching over, like going through a bag and shit. I'm like, bro, why is this cop acting so comfortable on this lady that seems like fucking insane? And then she walks into the kitchen and now the cop has put himself, like even at that, like if law enforcement has come to your house for something and they're not 100% comfortable with you, and I would give this as advice for a person. If an officer tells you, can you go and grab a particular thing? One, they shouldn't. They should be saying, tell me what you want to get and I'll go get it for you. Or you say, okay, sure, can you come with me? You don't want to be disappearing into fucking rooms and then a cop hears something or whatever, and now you got to come out of the fucking darkness with like your hands up, hopefully that they don't mistake what you have for a gun. Like it's just to lose control of a situation like that. You never want to be in a situation where you got to make like an impossible fucking split-second call because it's like, fuck, why would you do that?
But Destiny, we're using 20/20 hindsight here.
No, this is what I disagree with. That lady was insane. She should have never been sent because we're looking at the pot of boiling water. She could have reached in and grabbed a knife, a gun. Who the fuck knows? She was crazy. What?
But here's the thing, bro. Remember, when you're a police officer, right, and you're showing up on a 911 call, a lot of the times you have limited facts that you're operating on. You're operating on what they tell you, the dispatcher tells you. Right now, we can Monday morning quarterback it all day and say, dude, this lady was crazy. Why'd they shoot, etc. He might have not known that when he rolled up to the scene.
No, I understand what you're saying. I've seen enough drunk people. I've seen enough people on drugs. I've seen enough crazy people. And I've seen enough cops. I know that cop knew. Unless that guy was an actual green as fuck, the most rookie motherfucker ever who's never been in a bad neighborhood. That lady, and you can watch me watch the video. As soon as that cop answered the door and he's like, hey, did you call 911? And she's like, oh dear, oh no, what's happening? And the cop's like, are you okay? Did you? And she's like, oh, I don't know. And she's like, this lady is fucked.
Me and you agree to disagree, but like insanity isn't an excuse. Like whether the person is sane-minded or not, the police officer or the law enforcement official still has the right to defend themselves regardless of the person's mental capacity. Because like I said before, they don't know what her mental capacity is, right? Of course, you can infer, this dude's a little off, whatever it may be. But regardless, if someone grabs a weapon, and I would argue that boiling hot water is a deadly weapon, you can absolutely use lethal force to combat that. And she did try to. But
the cop, the cop has a right to defend himself. That's why I'm saying at the point of the shooting, I get it. But like, if you think a person's crazy, this is why when a cop pulls over people or groups of people, or whatever, they'll say like, hey, can you guys get out of the car? Can you sit on the street? Can you like put your hands forward where I can see them or whatever? You're doing this so that you don't end up in a situation where you have to go somewhere. Because like this shooting, every part of it, and trust me, I've watched so many of these videos and I take so many unpopular stances that are pro cop. My aunt was NYPD for 20 years. Like I have a lot of sympathy for making calls like that. This was a situation where as soon as they opened the door, that lady was fucking insane. She was even on the phone with a guy who sounded like a mental health caretaker. She was fucking wild. And the idea that they just let her wander around her house, I think it was totally preventable. She was fucking crazy.
And I'll tell you why. Well, the thing is, so when you're showing up on a 911 call, right, and you're going to someone's house, it's not really because when you're on the job, they teach you to de-escalate and keep things as chill as possible. Going to someone's home when on a 911 call and telling them what they can and can't do, though yes, you can absolutely do that. You want to try to minimize that because at the end of the day, you don't really have much authority, right, to like be telling people what they can.
Oh, you got all the authority. If a cop is doing an investigation, you don't need a warrant. You got a 911 call. He was invited in the house. Cops can do what they want to, what they need to keep themselves safe in the process of performing an investigation, right? If a cop pulls me over and they feel like I'm skittish as fuck, and I got these like huge coats on, the cop has every right to say, "Listen, sir, while you're detained, while I got you pulled over, can you just step out of the car and like take your coat off, please?" He has every right to ask me that.
Destiny. Your home and your car are vastly different. Like there's a reason why the castle doctrine exists. There's a reason why you need way more probable cause to secure a search warrant on a home than on a car.
They already have probable. They got a 911 call. That's probable cause right there. They can enter the house. Like they're totally within their right to do so. They got a call for burglary.
Sure, but that could be retracted. Here, keep in mind, they have the consent to go in. It could be retracted at any time. So
sure, but then the officers would just leave. They would just leave. She'd be like, "Okay, can you guys get the fuck out?" And the cops can say, "Oh, is there anything?" Yeah, they could leave, but
you don't want to escalate things if you don't have to. So you're going to be as chill as possible. That's why they were relaxed. Now, is that the best way to go? Everyone is different, right? Everyone skins a cat differently. But what I am saying is, like, based on the facts that I saw and how she went behind the counter, she grabbed the pot of water, it was boiling hot, etc. She wasn't following lawful commands. She tried to hurl it at him, and we know boiling hot water can absolutely mess you up if it lands on you. I think it's a good shoot. Some people in the chat disagree with me. That's totally fine. But you guys.
I don't know, man. I feel like you should rewatch that video from start to finish. You should watch. I agree with you. I agree like 99% of the time in these cases. But there are times where like the cop can say like, "Hey, can you just like step out, or can you come over here, or whatever." Like if a cop came into my house and asked me questions, I'm never like running over into my bedroom to like grab shit or like shouting some shit at the cop, because I know that like why the fuck, like this guy doesn't know if I'm gonna fucking kill him. He's got a fucking gun. If any escalation is gonna be one of us is dying, right? Like. Yeah, I feel like that's the thing where you can call it an escalation, but I mean, like with the cop, like assuming the only people that would get escalated on if you were to ask them like, "Hey, could you just like chill here with your hands out?" If they start to get irate about that, well, then they're probably gonna get irate if they disappear in another room as well. Like, why risk it?
Well, besides the shoot, and I'll just leave it, make this last point, and then I'll move to the next person. I think the shoot, right? He got arrested for this and everything else like that. I think a big reason why he was arrested because this was a political move. Because where this happened in like Illinois or somewhere, something like that.
I think it was Illinois, yeah.
Yeah, which is a blue state. Like I think George Floyd kind of showed us that the potential for riots and for social anarchy is very real. And the prosecutor's office was like, you know what, dude, we don't want to deal with this shit. let's just get this guy arrested and let a jury decide if he's innocent or not. I think this guy has a really good chance to go ahead and be found innocent on this. I know some of you guys in the chat are saying, oh, he had a DUI before, he's been fired from other departments, etc. More than likely, his defense is going to move to get that stuff like not brought into the trial. And the reason why is because they don't want to poison the jury with other stuff that might not necessarily be as relevant to the case, because we want to go with the facts and circumstances that were present at that particular encounter, not necessarily his prior conduct. And I doubt that if his defense attorney is halfway competent, they're going to make sure that stuff doesn't come in. But we'll go to the next person, Chief Rocco. Chief Rocco, what's up, bro? And yeah, you guys could go. Some people will disagree with me. That's fine. No, we don't have.
Oh, this is my last one. Then I gotta go to bed. It's fucking late for me, guys. So go ahead. Yeah.
Last one here, guys. Go ahead, Chief Rocky. You got the. What's your question or comment for me or Destiny?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, what's up, brother?
Hey, no comment for Destiny. I've been wanting to say this since that stream with DL saying for the Leo guy, the one that kept on saying, the Russian dude. If he does not, he needs to apply on clearinghouse. That will, if you have the driver's license in the States, his driver's license will be in that system, and it will show him if his violations are cleared, and he's good to go again. And they have the option for him to take the class.
Chief Rock, I'm sorry, bro, but your mic is really bad, dude. Like you're kind of like coming in and out. It sounds awful. It sounds like you're echoing. So I'll just move to Ray J for this time. RJ, sorry, RJ, go ahead. You'll be the last one.
Oh, sweet. All right. Yeah, just two quick comments. I mean, what that dude said earlier, about definitions and shit like that. Like, I mean, the Oxford, like, I always go by dictionary definitions.
Are we back to
like,
the insurrection?
You said what? Yeah.
Insurrection? Okay, all right.
Yeah. I don't mean to, beat a dead horse or anything like that. But I mean, you got two different definitions here. You got Oxford languages, a violent uprising against an authority or government. And then you got an act or instance of revolting against civil authority or an established government. Like, my thing is that, like, like, people just aren't accurate enough nowadays. And, like, I mean, I understand, like, where Andrew Wilson was coming from. He's like, hey, listen, like, the difference in between a square and a rhombus, like, listen, just because there's violence over here doesn't mean that it's, insurrection. Now, I mean, that's not my own personal take. I think January 6th was, insurrection according to these definitions, right?
Okay, so you agree with Destiny?
Yeah, and the other comment that I was gonna make was, I mean, dude, that cop, I'm not letting somebody throw some fucking boiled water on me. You crazy?
Yeah, dude.
Like, I know, whenever I was like 12 years old, like my dad, I saw this guy, we were watching the news. This guy, he like shoots this guy who like comes at him, right? Pulls the gun, whips it out, bam, right? And my kid ass was like, well, Dad, I would wrestle him. I'd put him on the ground. I'd show him. And my dad was like, he just looked at me with that sideways look. He was like, dude, you have no clue what you would have done. And like, the older I get, like, the more accurate that becomes. So like, those were just the two comments I wanted to make. People just.
No worries, man. Cool. Destiny, we should do this more, bro. Where we just fucking yap on current events. Because we have different viewpoints on shit, but we're obviously able to articulate our points and let the audience decide what they agree with and what they don't agree with.
Yeah, sure. But, it's like, especially copper law related shit. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
so.
No, we could definitely do this periodically. Give me ones in the chat if you guys would like that. Me and Destiny chopping it up every now and then, talking about current events and giving different perspectives on shit. But no, I think Destiny, guys, is gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna end the stream here too. We'll be back live tomorrow at 7:30, and we'll probably do a Zoom call after that, and then we'll have an after hours for you guys. Destiny, where can the people find you, bro?
YouTube or kick.com/Destiny, yeah.
Boom. And, dude, obviously, I know you're getting a lot of fucking heat right now and everything else like that. Like I said, even though me and you don't agree on everything, I respect you as a colleague, and I don't wish anything bad happen to you. And, for these weirdos that are trying to make threats against your life, whatever, fuck them, bro. So just be safe, okay?
Yeah, good luck. Good luck on the new podcast and everything, too. Yeah.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, see you later.
I appreciate that, brother.
Yep.
I'll see you, man. I'll text you. We'll set something up in the future.
Sure thing. All right. Bye.
All right, man. Peace.
Okay, fuck me. I'm so fucking tired. I love you guys. Man, what a crazy... That was a more Andrew Wilson debate than I thought it would be. Jesus. I wish I knew why my... OBS was lagging so fucking much. If I have a 1080 Ti, I wonder if the I wonder if me using hardware encoding is worth it, or is the 1080 Ti too old and it'll be suck shit? I don't know. All right. I love you guys. Have been fun. Ripping a cappuccino, cappuccino. Is the new connections up already? Oh shit. True. Why do you have a 1080 Ti? It's for my streaming rig because I don't do anything with it. Liar, con, back, down, support, symbol, minus, loot, champion, strike, ding, right, base, up, endorse, left. To champion something is to support something, which is to back something, which is to endorse something. Easy. Boom. Boom. Left, right, up, down. No shot is that a thing. I don't believe it. A strike? No. Minus, base, con. Con, right? No, shit. Liar, loot. Immoral things? To strike somebody, to loot from something, to be a liar. No. Up, down, left, right is not. There's no shot it's that simple. I don't believe it. Okay, hold on. Getting worse. A minus, a con, a down. No. No. A strike against your record? Your record's going down. Con is a negative, minus. Oh, it's going to give me 3 on this. Fuck! Minus, strike, con, down. A ding against? A ding against something? No shot. Yes. Okay, drawback, a ding. Okay. Is it really up, down, left, right? No shot. Okay, a symbol. It. Okay. Instrument homophones. Bass, guitar. Oh. A lyre? Oh, a lyre? Isn't that like a weird single string instrument or some bullshit? A lute? L-U-T-E, I think, and then symbol. Okay, cringe. All right. Good night, I love you. Be careful. Jesus.